Hi, I'm Eshkalar, the world's greatest Canadian wizard, and don't you wish you were the world's greatest Canadian wizard too? Wait, maybe you are. Don't compete with me. I don't want my bubble burst. But anyway, today I'm going to talk to you about the two most important things there are, life and death. That's right. Eshkalar, your old pal, is going to talk to you about life and death. And how either one gets all so full of itself that it forgets that the other one's a vital component. And it wants everything. So, let's talk about death first. The military-industrial complex. Their specialty is death because they are needed for the necessary defense of our homeland. That's right. Our fatherland, our motherland, our sisterland, our brotherland. That's right. Yeah, we're the battling bastards of Bataan. No father, no mother, no Uncle Sam. No uncles, no aunts, no nephews, no nieces, no planes or tanks or artillery pieces, and nobody gives a damn. That was chopped on a wall somewhere back in 1942, I think, yeah. This is why studying history is important. It's easier to learn poetry. Wait, no, that's not what I meant, but still. The military-industrial complex is needed. When we went into World War II as a combined force, the Allies, the British, the Canadians, the Aussies, New Zealanders, yeah, South Africans, I don't know how that happened. After what the English did to the Boers, I have no idea. Read history. Read history and become enlightened. Enlightenment is wisdom. And wisdom, all wisdom is pain. If you ever believe anything that anyone tells you, your old pal Eshkalar just taught you fundamental truth. All wisdom is pain. None of it is like, oh. It's all like, ow. So, the military-industrial complex is needed and necessary. However, it isn't needed and necessary all the time. When the world is mostly at peace, we don't need as many tanks or guns or bombs because we're not wearing them out as quickly. We're not expending them as quickly, and so they build up on the shelves. Certain things have to be replaced. High explosive bombs must be replaced because their high explosive filling, it decomposes over time, and those bombs become more dangerous to the owners than they do to the people you want to deliver them to. That happened on the USS Forrestal. Evidence of that. And it's an unfortunate result. So anyway, during times of peace, the military-industrial complex is not needed in the same way. It merely replaces the worn-out gear. It merely replaces the gear whose shelf life has expired. Other than that, it's very difficult for the generals and admirals to get procurement dollars. It's very difficult to procure systems, especially new or experimental or untried systems, or to get money to pour into building prototypes in case one of the technology demonstrators clicks, and this is our next generation of combat capability. But during a war, that military-industrial complex is so damn important. We wished we had spent more money on it in peace so we were ready for that war. Instead, every war has a lag. Or we go into that war with the gear and the equipment from the last war and a couple pieces of the newer stuff. But like I said, the military can't procure during times of peace, so it's tough. Say the F-111 was your newest bit of gear, right? Them TF-30 engines, it'll never go down. It's like the Titanic. But anyway, say the F-111 is your newest piece of gear, but everybody in your Air Force is flying Sabres. And you're saying to the Congress, you're saying there, you know, I really need more of these F-111s. And Congress is saying, we have Sabres. And you're like, well, the F-111 is more capable. And they're like, what does that mean? How does that make a soundbite or a photo op for me? And you're like, that's not what it's about. And they're like, you don't know what it's about. And you're both right. So you don't get many F-111s when they're new tech. But you get plenty of Sabre jets, and they're easy to repair, and you've got the machinery and the apparatus and the jigs already set up to build more if you need to. As long as you're procuring them, everything's fine. But then you hit a peace period, and you got no money for F-111s and only limited money for Sabre jets. And pretty soon your Sabre jet Air Force is looking pretty old. And those F-111s are looking pretty good, but man, the price of them has gone up because when you're building economies of scale, in other words, when you order hundreds or thousands of an object, the manufacturer can invest some of that potential profit into retooling his industry, his network, so that he can specialize in building those things that are needed and build them better and cheaper, fewer man hours, less recourse to advanced materials and more of the ordinary thing as far as it goes until you need something new. But really, there should be an active research and development program going all the time in every major defense contractor. And that leaves out all the small ones that might be the ones coming up with ideas that you'll never hear of because the big ones are competing with them. Don't listen to those little guys. Listen to me. Here I am. My lobby speaks. But these guys don't. So a lot of innovations that are potential will never be seen, or they won't be seen or heard until the big companies buy out the little guys because they can't wait long enough for a contract. They'll starve. So the big guys so effectively blanket them. So we are stuck in this conceit of the armament industry because they know that we must have them whether we need them or not at any given moment. And they start to think, I belong here. I belong here. Keep off my grass, peasant. Because they think that they're the only thing now. Because we keep pumping money into them. We keep giving them money. Even when we can't afford it, we got to give them some because they got to replace some parts on the old Sabre jets. Even if we can't afford to build F-111s. Even if Congress doesn't understand the need for the paveway system, the need for advanced terrain following guidance systems. The Pentagon doesn't understand that because their exigencies are different than yours as generals. Sure, you both want to defend the nation, but they want to do it only if it makes them look good, and they will not do it if it doesn't make them look good. And you must know this by now, you generals, yeah? But then the defense industries are also extremely wealthy. They were made wealthy by war and contracts. And they're thinking, well, I want those contracts back. That's the way of the world. Someone has denied me that money that I am deserving of because I was there when they needed me. That lasts forever. But that can't happen in between crises. We're not building that gear. We're not pouring money into research and development. We can't. So our progress in these fields sounds really good in the papers that are being published. Sounds really good in the promotions, the plans that are being pitched before Congress and the other big audiences of money. But it's a very slow process. Look how long it's taken the F-35, because there was no war to push it. And of course, we lost fewer pilots because we didn't push it. This is important stuff. No weapon system goes into combat without having killed a few of its own. It isn't because it's bad. It's because there are mistakes made. There are inconsistencies in production. There are quality control issues. Every kind of thing that can affect any other production apparatus can affect the military's production apparatus as well. There's no magical thing that because it's important, it's always going to be right. Here's a story. In World War II, the Soviet Union was building a fleet with which it could burst out into the North Atlantic, into the Baltic and the North Atlantic, and drive the evil Hitlerites from their home waters, and also the waters they would like to be their home waters, the Gulf of Finland and some other places. Ask Sweden if the Soviet Union wasn't really fond of the waters off their coast too, huh? So anyway, when the Soviets built the Sovietsky Soyuz, I think it was one of their battleships. They planned battleships for them, and they were going to build them in World War II, come out and drive the Germans away. They discovered at one point that bad quality control had led to 70,000 dicey rivets that were likely to break under stress. 70,000 rivets on a battleship, when they were riveting steel, of course. And the rivets on a battleship are, this big around. Boom, boom. You'd use a big machine for that to drive those rivets in and to flatten them on the other side. 70,000 of those. It was so expensive to take them out and replace them that they just scrapped the battleship on the pier. That was it. We're done with this. Too expensive. Wow. So anyway, that's what can just happen when there's one problem with your supply, one problem with availability of a material, one problem with the quality of your work. Wait, availability of material. Germany was very impressed in World War II by the Moskito, the de Havilland Moskito fighter bomber, it was called. None ever had a dogfight with an enemy aircraft and shot it down. Let me tell you, unless it was a 4-engine. Let me tell you. The Mosquito was about as much a fighter as it was a boat. So, yeah. But it was a very fast, very capable, very light bomber, built out of largely amounts of wood, which is a non-strategic material, because, of course, aluminum and duralumin and manganese and magnesium were all very needed for engine production, rather than the bodies of aircraft. They were looking for ways to make those bodies cheap. De Havilland had a beautiful process. So anyway, Germany wanted to repeat that wonderful victory of the Mosquito bomber, the Mossy, because it could outrun almost every pursuit, and it could carry 420-millimeter cannon in the nose. That's a big bang, bang, bang. It's a big hit. If you're shooting people on the ground, if you're shooting enemy bombers, you're going to have an effect. And even though there's no real reason for 420-millimeter cannon on a bomber, I mean, an A-10 anyone. So anyway, however, when Germany tried to reproduce the success of that, and they built a very high-performance wooden construction fighter bomber, though theirs was more of a fighter and less of a bomber, where the Mosquito was almost a whole bomber, and they only called it fighter because it sounded cool, German. Ours can do both. Oh, I'll buy those. I don't want to buy these and those. I'll buy that one that does both. That's how Ford sold us on the M8 Greyhound armored car. It was supposed to be a tank destroyer, which it wouldn't, and it was supposed to be an armored car, which it wouldn't. So Ford just sold it to whoever wanted it, and it served inadequately well. It was the first time we ever realized that armored vehicles should be made mine resistant. It had like an 8-millimeter floor. A lot of guys died. So anyway, Ford made a lot of money off of that. That's keeping that project going, keeping that production going, not having to switch production in the middle of. You already got this thing, and you're damned if you're going to let the Pentagon get away with it. You're going to hook this on them, and they did. It's a true story. Look it up. So, and there are other juking and jiving amongst the various armament manufacturers. That's the problem. Once they start getting this money stuff, they get addicted to it, and it affects their brain. So they start getting, oh no, I deserve this. Give me that. You get out of the way. And that's when they become the dog in the manger. That's when they're bad. That's when they're evil. That's when they're trying to stop the country from defending itself because they're so greedy. See? So this is the problem with the armaments industry. This is the same problem that Eisenhower talked about when he talked about the military-industrial complex, as if he wasn't a shill for it. Supreme Allied High Command. That's a shill for the top tech. Bring on the B-29s. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that you need the armaments industry. But as soon as they start making money, they get crazy. They get addicted to it. And then you just expect money to flow in. And if it doesn't, they start using mafia techniques. They start bribing people, and they start giving whores and cocaine away. This is real stuff, Lockheed, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And you can't trust them, not for a second, even though they're supposed to be defending the country. Read The Arms of Krupp. Really interesting story about how armaments manufacturers care nothing about the country. They only care about procurement contracts and living like kings. And that's all. That's all they have. They got nothing else. I'll collect art because it takes it out of circulation. It's the kind of people they are. I go to the opera to throw fruit because feeding starving artists is what rich folks do. You guys are total fuckheads. Because you don't understand. You get drunk. You get drunk on power. You get drunk on influence. You get drunk on money. And you think, I can handle it. I'm Rush Limbaugh. Everyone else should go to jail for opioid addiction except me.
because I'm special.
Where'd that go anyway? Yeah. Complications due to opioid addiction, Rush. We hardly knew you, didn't we? We just knew the character you portrayed on the radio. You falsifier. So anyway, that's the death part. You can't trust them. You can't trust them for a second. You got to have a whip over them all the time because they go crazy once they start making money. Money's a drug. If you don't believe that, then you haven't been paying attention. So, let's move to the light side. Now we've dealt with death. Let's go to life. Ready? This is life. Ready? The healthcare industry. We need them. We need them in the background, running in the background, just like the armaments industry. We don't always need them a lot because we're not always having a pandemic or a sudden rash of boomers all dying and there aren't enough people to watch them all die. You know, tear for the boomers. I'm one. So, and during the parsimonious times, there's not much medical research that can be done. The papers are wonderful. Now look at all the secrets being revealed, but we don't have the gear for it. We can't afford to tool up to make use of stem cell therapies. We can't. We can't. We don't have access to what it is we need, AZT, combination therapies, whatever it is that the real need will be, because we don't have the money for that. We're not going to pour money into research when we're scrabbling to get money for ourselves. And then comes COVID, then comes the Spanish flu, then comes the Black Death, right? Then comes your uncle's bad breath. Oh, golly, he's got to lean over your shoulder while you're playing games. He's like, how's that? You're like, oh, God, stop. Oh, please explode. So, people at the top of healthcare are exactly like the people at the top of the military-industrial complex. They know that they are needed. They know that the rich people are going to need them to protect them. And so, they maneuver and they sneak and they crush other people from getting the research or from getting the dollars because no, that's mine. I deserve that. It's mine. I'll fight for it. When they should be saying, here you go, here you go, here you go. It's a competition. Free and open competition. That's what capitalism's all about, isn't it? You dogs in the manger. Yeah. So, military-industrial complex and the healthcare industry. Oh, you need them. You need them. You need them because a crisis is going to happen where they're going to be waxed very great and be very important. And you got to have them on your side because otherwise, what if they say, no, I don't want that money? This is Eshkalar signing off. Oh.